Alright, welcome back. I hope you're having a good day. It is September 25th, first weekend of fall here in Florida. I repotted this guy a couple months ago. This is a Dwarf jade or a Portulacaria afra. I kind of noticed that all of my ports just kind of, as things, as the daylight's gotten a little bit less, we're kind of hitting this nice little, finally it started raining here. But I noticed all the ports were kind of going through a pretty good growth spurt. And I was just kind of out there and just kind of, taking my pruners and kind of hedging them off just a bit, just trying to even it out. And I remembered that when I repotted this, it actually had more of an apex coming out from right here. And it kind of came up to about here. But I had, just repotted it. I had it tied in kind of loosely down here. With these succulents especially, I don't like to leave them tied in forever, so I leave the wires up so you can still see them. And then when I notice it's pot bound, I'll take them off. I intend to leave it in this pot for a long time. But I realized that if I started kind of hedging this too much right now, I'd wind up with just, I'd have the two branches, kind of a strange placed, well, actually two kind of strange placed back branches there. But I'd have my two branches, and then just kind of like two more branches holding a cloud. I would like to develop somewhat more of an apex. I've been kind of looking. I could use this branch as an apex, this one, or actually one that's not really growing all that great, but it's like right in here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I decided that I'd prune it, not only to make a video, but just kind of prune it a little bit more with more thought than just kind of whacking it all off or whatever. But I'm going to get in here, and I'm going to prune the top first, being kind of aware that I'm trying to leave these three possible apexes. I'll prune the bottom. Just really, my intention are, there's a lot of straight up growth, and I think that's just from the fact that I pruned it really heavily when I repotted it. And then I want to take all the straight up growth all the way off down to the branch, and then I just really want to lightly prune the rest of it because I would like it to get a bit wider. I'm envisioning something maybe about this wide perhaps, and a little bit taller than it is now, and again with maybe a little more where these two are actually branches and not part of the apex, a little more of a formed apex. And since I'm just forming it now, that should actually allow me to get an apex with maybe a little more movement in it, and also more taper to where it'll kind of, obviously kind of thin out at the apex or whatever. And again, our goal is trying to make, an ancient looking tree or whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and get on in here and get started. Actually, before I get started, I'll show you the back. I thought about trying to change the back to the front a few times. I think that angle right there at the camera wouldn't be a bad one. But from this side here, you can kind of see a little more of the trunk going up, a little more of the structure of the tree. I mean, we'll see after I prune it and everything, you never know. That is the back. There is a nice little scar here. I'm a little concerned with the trees kind of leaning that way and almost seems to fold up around that scar a little bit. Maybe at the end of the video I'll try to get a close-up of that a little bit better. I don't remember if that's a scar I made on purpose in trying to get some age to the trunk, or if it's just something that kind of happened as it's been growing. I know I'm not going to mess with it anymore because it's a little concerning. I don't really like it all that much. I mean, it looks decent as in it is giving it some age look, but it just kind of has that look of something that could possibly rot or become a problem in the future. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start pruning. Alright, so that opens it up a little bit. Got a little more to go here. But this is one of the things that I'm just like a little I say disappointed with, but I mean sometimes a tree just is going to do what a tree is going to do, but is that this branch is actually a lot thicker than this one. You can see at one point here, there was actually, this was pole straight. There was just it was a lot taller than this. Chopped it here, it started going this way. That other apex I cut off the other day. Now, if I keep this as the front, it actually is kind of growing, you know, you may not be able to see it. It is kind of growing towards me just a little bit. And if I keep this as the apex, then, you know, I can at least maybe get the smaller tapered side to perhaps maybe lean a little more towards the viewer, make a nice little crown up there, and then that just kind of leaves these, because this is, I did miss that branch there, but this is kind of a thin, awkwardly placed back branch, but I kind of envisioned it being off, and it would just make a whole lot of bareness back there. And then this one from the front almost looks like a bar branch with this one, but they are coming out at different sizes. It just happens that when you kind of look at it this way, it kind of looks as if they're coming right out there together. But this one's coming out of the back, and it's a good, I don't know, you know, 3/4 of an inch below that one. It just kind of looks like they're bar branches by the time you kind of see it from the trunk. So that's the thought process there if I leave that one. This one, I thought that maybe I could thicken up this branch a little more, and eventually it would just become, you know, the new apex and kind of overcrowd this side. But I think this side already has too much on it. I'd probably have to really cut it back, and it's already got a nice kind of a pad shape to it, so I don't really want to lose all that. And then there was this branch here. It wasn't quite as tall as everything around it, because everything around it was kind of crowding it out. I could put it right there, and then that would put quite a bit of movement that way. I'm just going to kind of take a look at it here, and I hate to leave. I thought about leaving all three of them, and if I leave all three of them, I could just kind of let them duke it out and figure out which one just kind of wants to be the leader. Whichever one kind of got the strongest growth, I could take off the other ones. But the more and more I look at it, I think this one would definitely be ridiculous. And then perhaps maybe even this one here, because if I were to cut that off and let this become the leader, I'd wind up with, you know, 10 times the dramatic movement up here, because if I would let that become the leader, this is obviously the thickest branch too, and it would easily follow that way. And I'd wind up with this huge movement at the top when I really just have barely any at the bottom, just kind of, you know, graceful. It's leaning, but it's not really having any move. It doesn't really have any movement to it or whatever. So I think right here, if I do that, and I just kind of maybe even almost let it kind of grow out, a little like a sacrifice-ish kind of a thing or whatever, you can see I must have already hit it once because it's already got 3 little branches coming off of it. So I'll just leave that one alone. Take that guy off. We'll see what happens over time. And again, now here it is pruned with the back there. And that scar I was talking about that was there. Yeah, sometimes I just get a little concerned about it. But we'll see. Thanks for watching.